So I will introduce now our third speaker. This morning is Sister Veronica Openibo. Is a member of the Society of the Holy Jesus, an international congregation. Born in Nigeria, has worked as an educator in pastoral and social work ministries. She earned bachelor in education in English and religious studies from University of Jos, Nigeria, and master's in pastoral ministry and social work in clinical social work from Boston College. Sister Veronica was an executive board of the UISG and served in SHCJ as president of the Board of Service of Documentation and Study on Global Mission. She was one time the president of the Nigeria Conference of Women Religious. Prior to being elected society leader in 2010, Sister Veronica served for many years as treasurer in the African province. Her ministries have included being teacher, counselor, facilitator of provincial and general chapters, and spiritual director. She was the first ever society leader elected from the African province. In February 2019, Sister Veronica spoke at the Vatican Sexual Abuse Summit on the protection of minors and vulnerable adults in the Church. Presenting to Pope Francis and nearly 200 bishops, she called for complete transparency by the Church in investigating the sexual abuse scandal. Let us welcome Sister Veronica.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, and I'm delighted to have been invited. And listening to the first two speakers, the first one, I felt I was witnessing violence in real life. Didn't you feel that way? And the second one, Talita Kum, I felt the power of women working to make things right by working with those who have been trafficked. Thank you very much. My topic is violence against women in the context of migration. And I want to tell you that in my country, Nigeria, we have a special name for migration. It's Jakpa. If you want to Jakpa, you Jakpa. So, but people forget that going on Jakpa can create a lot of violence, especially for women and children. The aim of the presentation, the overview, the aim of the presentation, the understanding of migration, exploring the challenges and opportunities for safeguarding of girls and women. I will not go through the overview. I think you will see it in my presentation. We are called, we are created in the image and likeness of God, and we know that everything that God created was good. I think we believe that. We are created to love and care for the whole earth, for all of life, including the human beings and other creatures in it. We have overlooked our responsibility in protecting the poor, the migrants, and those in need. We have seen, witnessed, felt the violence against women in the context of migration and other circumstances. And so we indeed need to ask for God's forgiveness. Let us explore together the challenges and opportunities for safeguarding girls and women, and to strengthen the understanding of gender-related aspects of safeguarding. There are two passages in reflecting on this topic that stayed with me. The story of Abraham and Sarah, moving from one area to the other. Leave your homeland to a land I will show you. And then Joseph's dream after the departure of the three magi. And what I remember clearly is in his apostolic constitution, Exsuls Familia, Pope Pius XII referred to that incident as the Holy Family as archetype of all migrants. I hope you will hold on to that. So the lesson from these two passages for me is attentive listening, no hesitation or resistance, courage to migrate, to move on without fear of the unknown, the challenge of home culture versus that of the host culture. Minimal, we think, in those days, they focused on the message. They trusted in God's providence and protection. There was free movement, no restrictions at that time. We are not too sure. There are other passages, but I'll skip them. The understanding of migration. Who is an international migrant? The UN defines this as an international migrant as any person who has changed his or her country of residence. This includes all migrants regardless of their legal status or the nature or motive of their movement. Today, the question is the legal status because many of them are in prison in different countries. The migrant statistics in UN International Migrants says in 2024, there were 304 million international migrants. In 2020, there were 281. And in 1990, there were 154. So you can see that 3.7% of the world's population were international migrants in 24. A slight increase from 2020, that was 2.9. I think some of us who were in Italy at the time this was happening, and it's still happening in some way, migrants on the high sea, and some of them were drowned, and some are still drowning. I want to look at the Catholic Church's teaching on migration, the dignity of every person, and the right of individuals to migrate in search of a better life. Most people migrate because of a better life. The legitimate right of nations to regulate immigration, but also just and humane immigration policies. This is changing. People are building walls, not bridges. Compassion for and solidarity with migrants, especially those facing persecution, violence, and more importantly, I think poverty. International migrants, female migrants constitute 48% of international migrants from research. Many people migrate out of their homes by choice, but others migrate of necessity. Interests of women in migration, higher education level have been found to be positively associated with increased migration for women. Even women who hold highly qualified qualifications in their home countries find they can improve their incomes filling a lower skilled jobs. And people do that abroad. I know of some of the Nigerians, Ghanaians, Kenyans, and people from Ukraine, Russia, we will see it later, that many of them migrate because they want a higher income, but they will take a lower income because even when they exchange the money, it's still higher than what they will get at home. Many of these eventually circle back to their previous profession in their home country. Trafficking and war are very connected with migration. I hope you will agree with me. More importantly, migration can stand on its own because of economic challenges, discrimination, the fear of persecution, but above all, seeking greener pastures. Women of strength, women of faith, courage to survive, to extend support to the needy. I want to say here, we've heard from Talitha Kum. Talitha Kum and related groups of women around the world are in solidarity or advocacy for migrants. And you will agree with me that, in fact, many of them in Europe and America and some parts of Asia, and even in the African countries, people are helping to support migrants. I have to confess that I was in the streets of Lagos and I saw strange people on the streets, many of them with children. And inside me, I got angry. Why are they littering the streets? And the driver who was taking me around said, "Oh, sister, don't worry. The government will soon come and gather them and take them away." It was only then it hit me. I said, "Oh my God, where are they taking them to?" I know of a place, sisters are working there, and I felt, oh, if they go there, Majidun is called, they will have support. But where are they taking them to? I never found out. But I felt guilty in the sense that I was looking for protection of the area instead of looking at these people who are looking for better life. I think I will skip the other stories. It's migrating for a better future. Building bridges are not walls. Seeking greener pastures. There is a challenge of war. We heard what Sister said earlier. Internally or externally, I think we know that. Sleeping peacefully without leaving one eye open, as in attacks of insurgents or kidnappers, people migrate. Economic deprivation. Oppression of women in certain areas, refusal of them to go for their education. Female genital mutilation. Sometimes mothers or parents would migrate in order to protect their girl child. And some harsh widowhood rights make people to migrate, seeking opportunity and stability. I found out that there are 5 countries of origin of international migrants. Interestingly, India topped them, China, Mexico, Ukraine, Russia. I used to think that the Africans migrated more, Japa, especially Nigerian, but I was consoled that probably they can't even get the visas to go out. And a picture of the percentages of people, especially the women. Exploring challenges and opportunities for safeguarding girls and women. In migration, there is violence context, in recruitment, even in money paid, because sometimes they don't pay them enough money, or they pay a lot for transportation and they don't get much when they get to the area. There is forced labor in factories, in farms, in homes, as caregivers, sometimes in construction sites in some countries, and at times is related drug recruitment, but at times people do not know. There's also the game-related recruitment, as in World Cup, golf tournaments, and other tournaments. Sometimes there are government meetings that they recruit women for entertainment. And it's usually recruitment of migrants as sex workers. And some are forced into marriage, especially the girls. In some areas, even little girls. Other challenges faced by migrant women is the financial predicament, because if they are not paid the money right away, and some of them send money home, they are in a bad state. Then there is the language problem. If you are coming from a place that is not English speaking or is not French speaking, then you are at a disadvantage. Then people at times they have prejudice and discrimination against migrants purely because they are migrants. And in fact, we've heard some presidents saying that they are the ones who do the stealing and all the havocs created in the country, which in most cases is not true. Then they have incorrect legal status, and they can be easily sent back home, as is happening in some countries. They have limited access to essential services, and very often they can't even afford the health care, so they have to stay away if they are sick. The additional challenges is psychosocial and emotional distress, family separation and lack of support, including social support, gender-based violence, including domestic violence, sometimes because the male is frustrated, the woman has a job, there is a great, huge problem. And at times, is that they have joint account, and the male might think, I will spend the money to buy a car to do this, and there is problem in the family. I've had to speak to some families as a result of that, when the money issue comes in. Lack of equal political representation in host countries. A test of our faith and our being human, truly human, is found in our treatment of children. John Paul II says, in the Christian view, our treatment of children becomes a measure of our fidelity to the Lord himself. The question is, how do we respond to the challenges faced by children all over the world, especially the girl child on the move? The plight of the girl child, It's in trafficking, molestation, discrimination, sometimes bullying at schools because of language barrier, or the poor area where she lives, because little children, they tend to tease or bully one another. Parents or guardians' unrealistic expectation or insistence on the child to be like the children of the host country. I think it happened to my niece because she was treated differently when the parents migrated, and she resented it. And we always tell people, please, this is a bookcase. Do not do that. Treat the child as a child who is in another country. And some are bullied by teachers, by classmates, by parents, as I have said, some haven't been lured into criminal groups, then they move out of the house. Women and girls are very vulnerable around the world, given less access to quality education. But I think this is improving little by little. Sometimes they are denied rights and hopes for a better future and not treated with respect and dignity. You can see some of the migrants. This is a UNICEF picture, another one. Women of strength, women of faith, courage to survive and to extend support to needy migrants. Again, I repeat the role of Talitha Kum and other related groups of women. Vigilant people on the flight, on a journey, identifying trafficked women and children. We have to be vigilant. I remembered on a flight, the flight came from Gabon, and we passed through KLM, Amsterdam, and we noticed that a young girl had been sleeping for a long time. And a group of us got together and went to the authorities in Amsterdam to say they should check, because it looked to us like that girl had been trafficked. Open your eyes. As we say, shine your eyes. Around you, you may find that people are trafficked. We must advocate for safety of women and children in transit, especially during persecution, as Sister told us earlier. How do people show that they are women of faith, women of sense? It's choice of economically buoyant countries that people go to in order to make life better. It's United States, it's Germany, it's Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, France. It is seeking shelter and support from religious groups. We heard that earlier. Encouraged to study other languages and further their education. Living peacefully to enable progress in life. It's easy to question. It's easy to say, why are they leaving their home countries? But we have to remember that, like Maslow said, one of the things that is important for us in life is to find a good shelter, is to find a good home, is to find a place to be able to sleep well, eat well, and every one of us need that. I want to acknowledge somebody, Angela Merkel. I hope some of us remember the role she played during the time of migration of the Syrians. Do you remember? Yeah, she stood out clearly. And even though some people will say she was not clear, but at least she allowed people to enter Europe. Pope Francis too, confronting Trump about building walls. I think we remember that too. And we have to say the various government roles, Italy, Hungary, Greece, in destination or transit countries. In July 2013, Pope Francis immediately became Pope, went out to the island of Lampedusa. Some of us will remember that. A major point of entry for migrants, and many of them were killed on the journey. He also visited the island of Lesbos in Greece. These visits showed the world the ongoing plight of migrants and those fleeing war, persecution, and poverty in pursuit of their needs. The message of synodality for us and for migrants. The synodal approach to the migrants' situation, it says, recognize migrants as living image of God, an encounter with Christ. Recall the words of Jesus, I was a stranger and you welcomed me. It is a sign of the time as a symbol of the church's pilgrimage throughout history. Jointly working together with the migrants, we must, as women of faith, women of strength, to alleviate their challenges. The way forward: continue to study and provide opportunities to explore key themes that have consistently emerged in Migration Day messages during the pontificates of John Paul II, Benedict, and Francis. And we hope there is a continuity that will happen in this Pope's time, Pope Leo XIV. Strength and understanding of gender-related aspects in safeguarding. It's respect for women and the girl children, safeguarding their rights to protect against violence and exploitation. I must say that over the years, religious and parishes in all the continents around the world have provided safe places for migrants and their children and fought for their protection. I think we see that on the news all the time. Actions called for by the church: safe and legal channels, orderly migration, ensuring voluntary migrants to migrate, welcoming communities to be supportive, create inclusive environments, and state justice for them. And for me, I think above all is the root causes of poverty, conflict, and political stabilities. Sometimes for me, it is that countries, like my own country, there's so much corruption, and people in leadership are pocketing the money instead of helping the poor, the masses. These monies are stored in foreign countries. How can countries outside or banks be able to identify where the money is coming from? And are they genuine that they have been put into their banks? I think we need to start exploring that area. There's also political advocacy, actively engaging in this area to promote policies that are just and compassionate towards migrants. My conclusion: for women of faith, women of strength, we must create avenues to continually train people to embrace family values and respect for the dignity of self and others. We must provide education and accompaniment of girls and women. We must try to evangelize all peoples to promote, to maintain gospel values and human family values. We must practice solidarity and shared responsibility at home, schools, parishes, and workplaces. We must use our ministries to attend to migrants for education, for language studies, healthcare services. I think many religious groups are doing that. The practical ways: we must try to listen to migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers, encouraging them to move on without fear. Remember, I started with this. Helping to remove the challenge of cultural differences in the host countries. Continuing to build bridges, not walls, as Pope Francis encouraged us to do. Be good Samaritan. Let us be truly Christian. Thank you.